Alright, so after the last video I was starting the GoPed up every couple weeks and going for a ride just to keep it running well. And last week I took it down the street and came back, and when I pulled back into my driveway and started slowing down and then stopped, it shut off. And it felt different, it sounded a little different coming back. I picked up the back wheel and the back wheel was locked up when I tried to spin it. So I decided it was something with the clutch, and it turns out it was. So I've taken it apart already. This is the centrifugal clutch, and you can see here that the pads, both pads, de-laminated from the clutch, and this one's actually broken. It wedged itself in between this piece and the I don't know what you'd call this part, but the housing that the pads press against. So the drum, I guess. And anyway, I was gonna try to epoxy them back on, but decided that wasn't worth the effort when I found a replacement with new pads on it online, shipped to my house for 38 bucks. So yeah, gonna put the new clutch in and then we'll take it for a ride. So these bolts that hold the clutch on, they have two washers, one that goes below the shoulder and one that goes on the other side. And there's a little bit of, I don't know, rust or dust on that shoulder. I'm going to take just a little bit of brake grease from calipers and just put it on the shoulder. And then on the threads, I don't actually know the torque spec of these. They weren't super tight, but I'm going to put a drop of blue Loctite on the threads just to be safe. The clutch is marked, so there's two dots and there's arrows on it, so you should be able to see those face towards you. That's the direction that it's rotating, and as long as you can see them, it's symmetric. So put the big washer on first, and then they'll go through. Don't get grease on the shoes or on the pads. And then regular washers on the other side. Okay, so here we go. Just a little Loctite on each. These bolts are 17 millimeter. Let's see if there's a good way to hold that. I have these pliers that I've ground tips onto previously for a different project. I'm going to try and use those to hold this. Actually works pretty well. Just for good measure. Alright, blue Loctite, tightened, and a couple little burps with the impact. I think those are going to be fine. So now I'm going to put the drum back on there. I guess I stopped narrating. Obviously, I just put the chain, picked the wheel back up, got the chain back on that sprocket. I pulled the axle out originally to be able to get it off. And so then I Just got the wheel back up, put the spacers back in, push the axle through, and now we're just going to put the axle nut back on and tighten that down, and then we'll do the chain tensioner, and it'll be done. I guess it's worth noting that I didn't have to take the wheel off to get the chain off, but dropping the wheel just makes it a little easier to get to that cap screw down there and generally get access, but it's not required. And so now we're just going to put the chain tensioner back on, and should be good. I'm sure there's a proper way to tension the chain, but I do it by feel. So right there's no slack in it. That's too tight. It shouldn't be completely under tension, but you don't want it slack. So I go to full tension and then just kind of rotate it back a little bit till I get just a little bit of movement on the chain, and then tighten that up. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so there it is. New clutch installed. It's raining right now and it's dark out, but I'll give it a ride tomorrow and make sure it works. I did feel like it was idling a little high, so I'm gonna back the screw out and just see if we can get that running a little lower idle. That's a better idle speed.